original delay didn't have an LFO CV output. You could only put CV in. However, in the plugin ones, if you click on the CV button or on the back panel where the patch bay is, right? So these do the same thing. It brings you to the back where you can start plugging things in. And it gives you a unique serial number for that instance of the plugin. So we've got a few instantiated. So once I click here, you'll see this huge menu appear. Let me reposition the plugin a little bit. So these are all the instances in my project. I'm working with IGPE here. And so let's go feedback. And I want to find the delay, IGPE, this is the one. And I want to connect the LFO of this delay into itself. And now you can see here on the feedback knob, let me put it into triangle. You can see that the delay feedback is getting modulated by the CV of the pedal itself. I don't know what it's going to sound like. Let's give it a go. You hear the feedback pump?
Yeah, I hear it, yeah.
So this gives you totally new ways of exploring what you can do with these effects. You can patch them in. You can decide how much you want of it. So this is an attenuverter that you can use to sort of like, oh, let's say I only want a smidge of this, right? Like, no, it's only this much. Or you can invert it. You can go downwards if you want to go downwards. That all works. Or if you have a bidirectional source, like an LFO is a bidirectional source, and an envelope is not. But if you have a bidirectional source, you can flip this to bipolar, and now this will oscillate around the position of your knob. Let's have a listen again. And you can sort of, again, hear that feedback come in. Right? What you see here is two different type of LEDs that light up. You have the jack that is connected in the CV input. That is the level of the raw CV signal coming in from whatever source it is. In this case, it's from the MF-104 itself. And then here is the amount that is actually being used by the plugin. So you can sort of have two different types of indicators. And then you also have this arc here that gives you a visualization of what it would be like if you manually move this knob, right? Now, I'm anticipating a question.
We have.
Why would you not?
Oh, I was going to say.
Yeah, let me finish my thought. Why would you not use automation to do this? Well, a really great question. TV is audio rate, so and modulation usually is like host automation parameters is usually not as detailed. The other advantage here is that you don't have to go out to your DAW to figure out how to set this up and to figure out how to send it from one track to the other. So that is kind of a cool thing. I could take the LFO of this 104, so let's disconnect this. And this one is BCJS. I'm just trying to look for it. I need an assistant, this one. So now I can take the LFO of that track, and you can see it come in here. So now you have one track controlling the other track. So doing that with automation parameters is really hard. It's not impossible, but some DAWs do make it very, very challenging. You might have to use like additional plugins to get there. And this gives you that immediate workflow where you can connect things together. So what you see happening here, I'm just pointing that out. One of the things that Logic does to save CPU usage sometimes is when you have tracks muted and you're not playing them, it will not call the plugin. So that is why this one is now not flickering when the track is not playing. Just pointing that out in case someone was wondering. You can connect it to other CV sources, both digital and analog CV. So if you look here at the options of connectivity, we have sidechain. And so what you can do if you set up your plugin with a sidechain bus input, then you have 2 channels of CV into every plugin that you can use to connect to these CV inputs. I have some examples prepared, but then I realized that in order for you guys to hear the sound, like I have to use a plugin that I insert here. So it would not be possible. But I have examples where this hooks up with CV tools from Ableton. We actually have a demo library video. If you look at Moog's YouTube channel, there's a demo library that shows you exactly how to use Ableton CV tools envelope follower into the CV input of one of the Moogerfoogers. One of the things that I really like, if you're a Bitwig user, Bitwig now has that effects grid where you can basically have access to a modular synthesizer inside Bitwig itself. And this gives you primitives of LFOs, of envelopes, any type of signal that you can imagine, and those perfectly hook up to the Moogerfoogers also. So they very well combine with other digital CV solutions. Now, I'm even more excited that they also work if you have a DC-coupled audio interface that takes DC-coupled audio input. Now, there's not that many out there. The most popular ones are the Expert Sleepers ones, the Eurorack modules. And I've had a lot of fun at home playing around with my Mother 32, generating envelopes going into that audio interface controlling the Moogerfoogers. It's wild.